Mercury, or Buddha, is the planet of intellect, communication, logic, and adaptability. It governs our analytical thinking, speech, memory, calculation, wit, and decision-making abilities. In the planetary cabinet, Mercury is seen as the prince, youthful, flexible, and ever-learning. Its strength lies in neutrality. It absorbs the qualities of the planets it associates with. Mercury is the natural significator, Karkatva, of communication, trade and commerce, intelligence, mathematics, writing, humor, mimicry, and youthful energy. It represents all mediums of information exchange, from teaching and journalism to marketing and digital technology. In the drama of life, Mercury plays the role of the messenger, the mediator between thoughts and action. It connects ideas with reality. In a chart, it shows how we think, how we speak, and how we process information in daily life. A strong Mercury empowers learning, adaptability, and intelligent problem-solving. A weak Mercury causes indecision, confusion, speech disorders, or poor analytical thinking. If Mercury were a person, it would be a charming, witty, fast-talking youth, intellectually curious, emotionally neutral, extremely observant, and detail-oriented. It's the one who notices everything, learns quickly, and adapts with grace. Mercury-ruled people tend to be expressive, intelligent, curious, calculative, and sometimes even cunning, especially when afflicted. In terms of planetary friendships, Mercury is friendly with the Sun and Venus, neutral to Mars, Saturn, and Rahu, and considers the Moon as an enemy. Jupiter regards Mercury as a friend, but Mercury remains neutral toward Jupiter. This creates complexity in their conjunction. Mercury is also adversely influenced by Ketu, which can cloud its logic and create mental disorientation. Mercury owns two signs, Gemini, Mithuna, and Virgo, Kanya. Among these, Virgo is its exaltation sign, and Pisces is its debilitation. It governs Ashlesha, Jesht, and Revati nakshatras. Mercury performs best in dual signs, Aries signs, and in Kondra and Trikona houses when supported by benefics. Mercury does not have a planetary aspect in the classical sense, it only aspects through conjunction. However, through association or placement, it becomes the carrier of the planets it's conjoined with. Therefore, its influence must always be assessed with precision, especially during Buddha Mahadsha or transit over critical points. The first house, or the Lagna, represents the self, the physical body, personality, vitality, mindset, and how others perceive us. It is the most sensitive and central part of the chart, setting the tone for the native's entire life direction. When Mercury occupies the first house, it brings a natural sharpness and agility to the personality. The native becomes mentally alert, talkative, and observant. Mercury's presence here creates a youthful, curious, and analytical disposition. The person often has a fast-thinking mind, loves to read, speak, or engage in intellectual conversations. Body language, expressions, and gestures become quick and dynamic. Regardless of where it is placed, Mercury's fundamental role in any house is to connect, analyze, interpret, and articulate. It brings mental calculation, communication, and adaptability to the matters of that house. In the Lagna, it gives a thinking mind and verbal self-expression as a core part of one's identity. The functional strength of Mercury here depends on sign placement and planetary association. In Gemini or Virgo, it is exceptionally strong. The intellect becomes refined, and speech gains sharpness. In Pisces, Mercury is debilitated, making the native over-imaginative or mentally distracted, unless corrected by Nicha Bhanga or benefic aspects. It is generally benefic unless afflicted by malefics like Rahu, Mars, or Ketu, in which case it can make the speech sarcastic, thoughts scattered, or logic manipulative. In terms of life impact, Mercury in the first makes a person a natural communicator. These natives are great at self-presentation, marketing, writing, debating, and teaching. Their mind and appearance often stay youthful even in later years. However, if Mercury is afflicted, the person may suffer from nervousness, overthinking, or an identity that is too reactive to others' opinions. From the first house, Mercury aspects the seventh house through its presence, not by direct planetary aspect, but through influence. This impacts the way the native communicates and negotiates in partnerships. A strong Mercury can attract intelligent, articulate partners and bring success in business partnerships. But if afflicted, There may be miscommunication or excessive cleverness in one-on-one relationships. In summary, Mercury in the Lagna brings a powerful intellect right to the center of one's personality. These natives live through their minds. They think before acting, speak before reacting, and analyze before deciding, making them natural advisors, scholars, or communicators. The second house in Vedic astrology governs wealth, speech, family values, food habits, and accumulated knowledge. It is the house of dhana, financial sustenance, and the way we express and preserve value, both materially and vocally. When Mercury enters the second house, the native's intellect directly influences speech and earning potential. Mercury brings refined communication, clever speech, and a calculative approach to finances. These individuals often have a persuasive voice, are well-read, and may earn through intellectual, verbal, or commercial skills. As per its fundamental role in any house, Mercury functions as the mind's interpreter. Wherever it sits, it connects logic to life. In the second house, it translates thoughts into speech and intellect into money. Mercury brings curiosity into family traditions and a pragmatic mindset towards saving and spending. The functional strength of Mercury here depends on its dignity. In Virgo or Gemini, it makes the speech sharp, voice sweet, and earning stable through skilled work, such as writing, teaching, trading, or consulting. In Pisces, its debilitation may cause a wavering voice, scattered financial habits, or inconsistent communication. Mercury remains neutral but can be easily influenced by any planet it conjoins here, especially Venus, Jupiter, or Rahu. Impact on life is substantial. Mercury in this house creates articulate speakers, orators, language teachers, public speakers, or marketers. These natives often come from intellectual families, or ones involved in business or education. If afflicted, speech may become harsh, cunning, or manipulative. There could be nervousness in expressing emotions, or misjudgment in money matters. From the second house, Mercury influences the 8th house by its 7th aspect, which is symbolic rather than literal. This creates a bridge between one's speech and the hidden realms. The person might have a knack for uncovering secrets through communication, or benefit from hidden sources of income. If malefic influences are present, this can result in anxiety related to financial security or speech-related insecurities stemming from subconscious fears. In essence, Mercury in the second makes speech a currency. These natives are often known by the sharpness of their tongue and the agility of their mind. With the right alignment, their words can build empires through intellect, persuasion, and clarity. The third house is the seat of courage, communication, self-effort, siblings, short travels, skills, and expression. It represents the arms and willpower, how actively and creatively a person participates in life. When Mercury occupies the third house, it becomes highly expressive and empowered. Mercury feels at home here. This is the house of speech and action, and Mercury rules both. It bestows sharp communication, skilled hands, and mental agility. Such natives are natural writers, presenters, learners, and doers, always engaging with information, media, or art. As per its fundamental nature, Mercury in any house brings intellect, flexibility, and verbal energy. In the third house, it amplifies courage to speak, the ability to learn quickly, and the desire to explore new ideas. It makes the native expressive not only in speech, but also in body language and creativity. The functional strength of Mercury here is generally strong, especially in air signs like Gemini and Libra, or its own sign Virgo. In Gemini, it becomes extremely sharp and eloquent. In Virgo, it excels in analysis and precision. However, in Sagittarius or Pisces, Mercury may feel disoriented or overly scattered, needing support from benefics. When afflicted, it may cause nervousness, hesitation in expressing thoughts, or conflicts with siblings. In life, this placement creates a strong desire to learn, communicate, and stay mentally active. It gives a quick wit, journalistic instincts, and often an artistic flair. These natives may excel in content creation, media, marketing, writing, or digital design. They are usually good at networking and influencing others through dialogue. If poorly placed, however, Mercury here may make one argumentative, overly talkative, or mentally restless. From the third house, Mercury aspects the 9th house, which governs higher knowledge, philosophy, and long-distance travel. This aspect brings a bridge between curiosity and wisdom. The native often questions traditional beliefs, seeks mentors, or uses communication to explore spiritual truths. When well placed, this makes for a philosophical thinker with practical reasoning. When afflicted, it may create friction between logic and faith. Overall, Mercury in the third house creates a personality that lives through expression. These individuals have a strong voice in society, not just to speak, but to question, to connect, and to create. Their ideas are their tools, and their words become their signature. The fourth house represents the heart, home, inner peace, mother, emotional security, education, and real estate. It is the base of one's life, symbolizing our comfort zone, cultural roots, and emotional grounding. When Mercury resides in the fourth house, it brings intellectual clarity into emotional matters. These individuals often possess a sharp mind, grounded in early education and family environment. They are emotionally intelligent, expressive within domestic settings, and often reflective thinkers who carry their thoughts inward before expressing them outward. By its fundamental nature, Mercury brings logic, analysis, and adaptability wherever it is placed. In the fourth house, this translates to emotional processing through intellect. These natives tend to think deeply about personal issues, make rational decisions regarding home and family, and are excellent in academic pursuits, especially subjects like mathematics, history, literature, or psychology. The functional power of Mercury here depends on sign placement. In Virgo or Gemini, it brings academic excellence and peaceful communication within the home. In Cancer, Mercury becomes emotionally sensitive. The logic blends with sentiment. In Pisces, its debilitation may cause confusion in emotional expression or overthinking about family matters. Afflicted Mercury here may disturb peace at home due to overanalysis or miscommunication. Life impact is significant. These natives value learning, may come from intellectual families, and often enjoy conversations with the mother or maternal relatives. They make great educators, counselors, or home-based professionals. A strong Mercury ensures a harmonious household filled with books, discussions, and cultured surroundings. If weak, it may lead to internal restlessness, mood fluctuations, or emotional detachment masked by logic. From the fourth house, Mercury symbolically aspects the 10th house, which represents career, public life, and social status. This bridge connects the inner mind to the outer world. The native may apply their education and thinking directly into their profession. Strong Mercury here supports careers in education, real estate, interior design, psychology, or public communication. If afflicted, this aspect may create mental pressure in balancing home and work life. In summary, Mercury in the fourth house creates a thinker at heart. The mind seeks peace through knowledge, and the voice finds strength in inner emotional balance. These are the people who bring intelligence to the domestic space, blending heart and logic to build a thoughtful foundation in life. The fifth house governs creativity, intelligence, children, romance, speculative gains, and the expression of our inner genius. It is the house of Purva Punya, the accumulated merit from past lives that blesses us with talents, intuition, and joy. When Mercury enters the fifth house, the intellect becomes artistic and expressive. This placement enhances creativity through communication. The native often has a quick-thinking, imaginative mind, capable of excelling in writing, poetry, acting, games of skill, or even strategic speculation like the stock market. As per its fundamental role, Mercury brings mental agility, articulation, and logic. In the fifth house, it channels these qualities into creative pursuits, love matters, and intellectual expression. It makes the native witty, playful in speech, and highly imaginative, often displaying natural charm in how they teach, speak, or flirt. Regarding functional strength, Mercury is considered quite comfortable here. In Virgo or Gemini, it gives extraordinary intellectual talents. The native may be gifted in mathematics, storytelling, or analytical thinking. In Leo, it lends dramatic flair to speech. In Pisces, being debilitated, Mercury may make the thinking disorganized or too dreamy, needing grounding. If afflicted, Mercury can lead to overanalysis in love, a scattered mind, or difficulties related to children. The life impact of this placement is notable. These natives are born communicators and creative thinkers. They excel in fields involving media, education, entertainment, finance, or gaming. Mercury here often indicates a very intelligent child or a strong karmic connection with one's children involving communication. If afflicted, the native may be emotionally detached in romance or overly logical in matters of love. From the fifth house, Mercury influences the 11th house, the domain of networks, ambitions, and gains. This symbolic aspect enhances the ability to connect with intellectual circles and gain from friendships or social influence. A strong Mercury ensures that creativity becomes a source of income or social recognition. If afflicted, the native may experience confusion in group dynamics or inconsistent friendships. In conclusion, Mercury in the 5th house turns thought into art. These natives shine through their minds, whether it is through a clever idea, a moving poem, or strategic thinking. Their charm lies not in grand gestures but in how intelligently they express joy, love, and brilliance. The 6th house in Vedic astrology signifies service, obstacles, enemies, debts, diseases, and the ability to deal with routine challenges. It is a Dusthana house, but also the place where we build resilience, analytical skills, and discipline through conflict and responsibility. When Mercury is placed in the 6th house, the intellect is sharpened for problem solving. The native becomes highly analytical, skilled in handling disputes, legal matters, health management, and daily operations. This placement supports professions that demand precision, such as lawyers, editors, accountants, analysts, or healers. In terms of fundamental planetary role, Mercury is the communicator and thinker. In the 6th house, its analytical mind is used for service, resolving disputes, and understanding complex systems. These individuals often excel in environments that require strategy, detail orientation, and verbal diplomacy. The functional strength of Mercury in this house is determined by sign and planetary influence. In Virgo, Mercury is exalted, bringing brilliant analytical power, strong organizational skills, and mastery over illness and litigation. In Gemini, it gives communicative resilience. However, in Pisces, where Mercury is debilitated, confusion in dealing with health, enemies, or debts may arise. If afflicted, the mind may get stuck in overthinking, worry, or argumentative behavior. In life, this placement manifests as a strong ability to analyze problems and serve others through intelligent work. The native may work in legal fields, healthcare, data management, or government services. If Mercury is strong and unafflicted, the native can outsmart opponents and overcome obstacles with logic. If weak, there could be psychosomatic health issues, excessive worry, or a tendency to create problems through overanalysis. From the 6th house, Mercury aspects the 12th house, which governs the subconscious, expenses, foreign lands, and spirituality. This aspect creates a connection between practical service and spiritual retreat. The native may find ways to manage stress through journaling, therapy, meditation, or foreign travels. A benefic Mercury here allows one to serve in foreign institutions, NGOs, or spiritual organizations. If afflicted, it may lead to anxiety, sleeplessness, or difficulty balancing mental noise with inner silence. In essence, Mercury in the 6th house turns intellect into a healing instrument. These individuals serve with their minds, offering clarity in chaos, logic in conflict, and skill in routine. Their power lies in the small details, and through them, they often find major victories. When Mercury is placed in the 7th house, the mind becomes oriented towards relationships, partnerships, and public interaction. The individual expresses themselves best when engaging with others, whether in marriage, business, or diplomacy. Mercury here makes a person highly communicative in their relationships, craving intellectual connection with others. Mercury's fundamental role in any house is to analyze, articulate, and adapt. In the 7th, it blends these qualities into partnerships. The person seeks clever, communicative companions and often has a diplomatic way of handling people. There's a natural charm, wit, and persuasive ability in how they relate to others. When functionally strong, such as in Gemini or Virgo, Mercury here leads to smart negotiation skills, healthy romantic communication, and mutually respectful agreements. In Virgo, the native may be extremely analytical about their partner, but also loyal and devoted in their speech. In Sagittarius or Pisces, Mercury may struggle, causing misunderstandings, idealistic projections, or imbalance in give and take. Affliction from malefics may bring manipulation, unfaithfulness, or legal complications in partnerships. In life, this Mercury makes the native very aware of social contracts, whether in love or business. These people are naturally suited to roles that require tact, conversation, and people skills. They might become consultants, advisors, diplomats, or even lawyers. Relationships are mental playgrounds for them. They enjoy debates, planning, and discussing everything with their partners. If afflicted, The native may become overly argumentative, indecisive in partnerships, or too detached emotionally. From the 7th house, Mercury aspects the 1st house, shaping the native's personality directly. This feedback loop connects self-image with relationship behavior. A strong Mercury here makes the native youthful, mentally active, and well-spoken, someone who reflects others' viewpoints while staying clear in their own. If weak, there may be identity confusion or dependence on others' opinions for self-worth. In conclusion, Mercury in the 7th house makes the native a relationship strategist, one who navigates love, contracts, and social roles through sharp observation and smart dialogue. The mind works best when balanced against another's, and through these mirrors, the native evolves intellectually and personally. With Mercury in the 8th house, the intellect takes a deep dive into the unknown. This placement sharpens the native's curiosity about mysteries, occult knowledge, psychology, finance, and the hidden dynamics of life. Mercury here doesn't operate on the surface. It dissects the unspoken, investigates the taboo, and finds patterns in the chaos. By its fundamental role, Mercury analyzes, computes, and articulates. In the 8th house, it brings these qualities into crisis handling, transformation, secrecy, and intimate bonds. The native often thinks deeply, speaks carefully, and may possess sharp insights into other people's motives or subconscious behavior. Mercury here can be powerful, but its strength is shaped by sign and aspects. In Virgo, it becomes an expert in crisis communication and financial structuring. In Gemini, it makes the native an articulate researcher or a curious occultist. However, in Pisces or Sagittarius, the mind may drift into confusion or moral conflict when dealing with hidden truths. If afflicted, Mercury may cause anxiety, secret-keeping, or obsessive thinking. In life, this placement creates a gifted investigator, someone who can work behind the scenes in research, astrology, forensics, finance, or psychology. The individual often communicates in layers. Not everything is said aloud. There's a tendency to be private, strategic, and at times suspicious. If well placed, it gives deep wisdom. If weak or afflicted, it can lead to nervous energy, suppressed fears, or trust issues in communication. Mercury's aspect from the 8th to the 2nd house affects wealth, speech, and family values. A strong Mercury here can generate gains through strategic communication, financial analysis, or inheritance. It also supports sharp, analytical speech. However, if Mercury is weak, it may bring miscommunication within the family or unstable income due to secrecy or irregular work habits. In conclusion, Mercury in the 8th house functions like a silent decoder, peeling back layers of life with a calculating mind. These natives are often ahead of the curve mentally, tuned into what lies beneath. Their intelligence comes not from loud expression, but from what they choose to keep hidden, until the right moment. When Mercury occupies the 9th house, the mind becomes oriented toward higher learning, philosophy, and exploration, not just physical, but intellectual and spiritual. These natives have a thirst for knowledge that goes beyond textbooks. They seek meaning, truth, and principles that can be shared through teaching or writing. Mercury's fundamental role is to think, articulate, analyze, and adapt. In the 9th house, it blends these functions with dharma, the house of belief systems, ethics, and divine wisdom. Here, Mercury becomes the storyteller of scripture, the logical priest, the traveling scholar, or the curious philosopher. It gives a love for languages, multicultural experiences, and spiritual debates. In terms of functional strength, Mercury performs well in friendly signs. In Gemini or Virgo, it brings sharp memory, persuasive teaching skills, and journalistic brilliance. In Sagittarius or Pisces, Mercury is challenged. It may get overwhelmed by belief or imagination, leading to contradictions or preachy speech. If afflicted, Mercury in this house may make the native a confused thinker or someone who misinterprets spiritual teachings. In real life, these individuals are often drawn to fields like publishing, teaching, law, theology, travel journalism, or even diplomatic services. They are the ones who question religious doctrines, reinterpret age-old texts, or teach in modern ways. Mercury here also makes one a lifelong learner. However, if weak or afflicted, the native may jump from one ideology to another without grounding. Mercury from the 9th house aspects the 3rd house, which governs courage, communication, and practical skills. This aspect strengthens one's ability to communicate bold ideas, express spiritual experiences, and use intellect for short travels or writing. A strong Mercury connects philosophical wisdom with everyday action. A weak one may lead to preaching without practice, or impulsive communication lacking depth. In essence, Mercury in the ninth house transforms knowledge into wisdom. These natives are natural messengers of truth, bridging logic with belief, speech with spirit, and thought with dharma. Their voice becomes the medium through which ancient truths meet modern minds. When Mercury is positioned in the 10th house, the intellect becomes career-focused. This is the house of karma, status, and visible actions, and Mercury here brings sharpness in communication, planning, and adaptability to one's professional life. The native becomes skilled in intellectual roles and often rises through clever decision-making. As per its fundamental nature, Mercury governs intelligence, articulation, curiosity, and flexibility. In the 10th house, it turns these traits toward public contribution. Such individuals can shine in roles where speaking, writing, teaching, negotiating, or strategizing is central. They are often seen in positions of media, administration, corporate management, politics, or technology. Regarding functional strength, Mercury is powerful in Virgo and Gemini, offering a strong command over professional discourse, organization, and multitasking. In Pisces, its debilitation may cause workplace confusion or poor decision-making unless cancellation of debilitation or supportive aspects are present. If afflicted, Mercury may make one overly calculative, manipulative in work, or restless in career paths. In life, this Mercury often creates professionals who think on their feet and lead with logic. They may be influential speakers, analysts, strategists, or tech innovators. Reputation is built through intellect and verbal skill. If strong, they are diplomatic and solution-oriented in leadership. If weak, they may face instability or trust issues in their public image. Mercury's aspect from the 10th to the 4th house links public activity with inner emotional stability and home life. A well-placed Mercury ensures the native communicates well within the family and balances work-home responsibilities logically. If weak, the native may struggle with mental peace or bring workplace stress into the home. In summary, Mercury in the 10th house is the mind at work, professionally driven, mentally agile, and verbally influential. These are the strategists, advisors, and thought leaders who guide through intellect, and whose karmic work lies in using words wisely in the world. When Mercury occupies the 11th house, the mind becomes tuned to networking, vision building, and gain through intellectual exchange. The 11th house is the space of ambitions, social circles, and fulfillment of desires. Mercury here communicates ideas that attract support, friends, and opportunity. In its fundamental role, Mercury analyzes and communicates, and in this house, it builds alliances, circulates ideas, and becomes the voice of a group or collective. The person thrives in communities, clubs, or organizations where mental exchange is valued. Their friends are often younger, witty, or involved in similar intellectual fields. When strong, especially in Virgo or Gemini, Mercury enables the native to turn knowledge into income. It brings strategic thinking around goals and connects the person to influential contacts. In Pisces or Sagittarius, Mercury may lack focus or over-idealize social circles. When afflicted, Mercury here can cause manipulative networking, superficial relationships, or over-promising and under-delivering. In life, this Mercury grants the ability to manifest ideas through collaboration. The native may succeed in PR, marketing, education platforms, digital networks, or advisory roles. They can be future-forward thinkers with a knack for reading social trends. If weak, the person might talk more than they act, get lost in group opinions, or lack clarity in long-term goals. Mercury aspects the 5th house from here, bringing a feedback loop between creativity and social gain. A well-placed Mercury ensures that the native's ideas are both innovative and well-received by society. This also enhances intellectual children, articulate expressions of love, and a curious romantic nature. If afflicted, there may be clashes between personal expression and group expectations. In essence, Mercury in the 11th house is a communicator of vision. These natives are the idea pollinators of their generation, gaining by sharing, rising through connection, and building success through mental rapport with others. When Mercury is placed in the 12th house, the intellect turns inward, often functioning in the realm of the subconscious, imagination, or distant spaces. This house governs isolation, spiritual liberation, foreign lands, and hidden thoughts, and Mercury here becomes introspective, contemplative, and sometimes abstract in expression. As per its fundamental role, Mercury gathers and shares information. In the 12th house, it filters this role through silence, dreams, solitude, or foreign experiences. These natives may speak less outwardly but think deeply within. They often communicate in symbols, metaphors, or non-verbal cues. Writers, spiritual speakers, translators, and thinkers who operate behind the scenes often have this Mercury. In terms of strength, Mercury does well in Gemini or Virgo even in the subtle house, allowing sharp analysis of spiritual or global matters. In Pisces, where Mercury is debilitated, the mind may become scattered or overly idealistic, though this can also foster poetic or artistic brilliance. When afflicted, Mercury may cause isolation due to miscommunication, escapism through overthinking, or suppressed expression. In life, Mercury here creates a mind that thrives in reflection and silence. These individuals might work in foreign institutions, research, spirituality, or creative solitude. If strong, they can channel ideas from unseen realms, making them intuitive writers, mystics, or visionaries. If weak, they may suffer from anxiety, overanalysis, or inability to communicate inner conflicts. From the 12th house, Mercury aspects the 6th house, connecting isolation with daily work and health routines. A strong Mercury helps balance mental wellness, encourages healing communication, and brings clarity in service roles. A weak Mercury may lead to internalized worries, scattered routines, or hidden workplace issues. In conclusion, Mercury in the 12th house is the silent thinker, weaving logic through dreams, crafting insight through solitude, and communicating truths that the world often ignores. Their mind lives where others seldom go, and in that distance, they find their voice. When Mercury comes into conjunction with the Sun, we witness the birth of a highly focused intellect. The Sun represents ego, identity, authority, and life purpose. Mercury, being the planet of communication, intellect, and adaptability, merges with his fiery selfhood to create the Buddhi Aditya Yoga, the yoga of brilliant intelligence. This conjunction produces a mind that thinks with confidence. The person has clarity in speech, purpose-driven thoughts, and strong analytical abilities, especially in public or leadership contexts. The ego empowers the intellect, and in turn, the intellect supports the ego's expression. However, when they are too close, especially within 3 degrees, combustion can occur. This burns the subtle functions of Mercury. Overconfidence replaces logic, communication becomes ego-driven, and the person may find it hard to take criticism. The brilliance is still there, but it becomes blinding, not guiding. In life, such individuals are excellent orators, spokespersons, strategists, and influencers. They can rise in leadership through articulation, be it politics, administration, media, or corporate roles. Their words often carry weight, but the lesson lies in humility and listening. If Mercury is stronger, logic tempers pride. If Sun dominates, reason may bend to self-image. In terms of functional status, this yoga is generally benefic if the Sun and Mercury are in friendly signs like Leo, Virgo, or Gemini. Mercury is exalted in Virgo and also rules Gemini, so its presence in these signs sharpens articulation. But if in signs like Pisces, where Mercury is debilitated, this combination may suffer, producing an overactive imagination or illogical pride in thoughts. The conjunction, depending on house placement, aspects the 7th house, impacting relationships and public perception. When balanced, this person communicates powerfully in partnerships and commands respect. If combust or afflicted, ego clashes in communication can disturb marital or business alliances. In conclusion, the Mercury-Sun conjunction gives a mind that shines, speaks, and leads. The native thinks with authority, speaks with conviction, and often becomes a guiding voice. The key is to keep ego in check and let intellect serve the greater light, not just the self. When Mercury and the Moon come together in conjunction, the intellect and emotions merge into one stream. The Moon governs the mind, feelings, memories, and mood, while Mercury handles logic, speech, and processing. Their union forms the emotional intellect, the ability to think with empathy and feel with clarity. This conjunction creates a person who is thoughtful, articulate, and emotionally aware. They can express their inner world through words, understand people's feelings deeply, and communicate in a soft, persuasive tone. These natives are often excellent writers, counselors, teachers, or creative communicators, with minds that blend reason and heart. The harmony of this conjunction depends heavily on proximity and sign. If the moon is waxing and strong, it supports Mercury's clarity. If waning or afflicted, the emotional waves may blur rational thinking. When the conjunction is too tight, overthinking and anxiety may result, as thoughts and feelings loop into each other without pause. In terms of functional status, Mercury performs well in Gemini and Virgo, especially if moon is in friendly signs like Cancer or Taurus, exalted. But if in Scorpio or debilitated signs, this conjunction may cause inner conflict, mental instability, or mood-driven decision-making. Still, even in such conditions, it grants poetic or imaginative talents. In life, these individuals make heartfelt communicators. They think with sensitivity, feel with intelligence. They are the voice of the people, often engaging in storytelling, nurturing communication, or healing professions. However, if Mercury is afflicted, they may become overly critical, nervous, or emotionally restless. From this conjunction's placement, they aspect the 7th house, influencing relationships. These natives seek partners who understand them mentally and emotionally. If well placed, this brings harmonious communication in marriage and partnerships. If imbalanced, it can cause misinterpretations, mood-driven communication, or passive-aggressive exchanges. In essence, the Moon-Mercury conjunction gives a lyrical mind, one that thinks in feelings and speaks with soul. They are emotional analysts, articulate nurturers, and inner-world interpreters. Their journey lies in balancing heart and head, to create connection without confusion. When Mercury and Venus come together in conjunction, the voice becomes sweet, the thoughts artistic, and the intellect inclined toward beauty and harmony. Venus, the planet of love, art, luxury, and aesthetics, infuses Mercury's logic and communication with grace, refinement, and charm. This is one of the most pleasant and creative conjunctions in astrology. Mercury's sharp mind gets colored by Venus' sensitivity and elegance, producing a blend of poetry, diplomacy, and social tact. These individuals can speak kindly, write persuasively, and negotiate with finesse. Their words carry magnetism, and they often excel in fields like writing, music, fashion, advertising, or public relations. The nature of this conjunction is highly benefic, especially when both planets are in friendly or exalted signs. Mercury is exalted in Virgo and strong in Gemini, while Venus feels at home in Taurus and Libra. When this pairing occurs in such signs, it creates articulate artists, intellectual romantics, or refined professionals with balanced judgment. In terms of functional status, if either planet is afflicted, especially by malefics like Saturn, Mars, Rahu, or Ketu, it may distort a conjunction's harmony. One may become manipulative in speech, excessively flirtatious, or overly concerned with appearances. In Pisces, where Mercury is debilitated, there may be idealism without structure. In Virgo, where Venus is debilitated, love may become transactional or overly practical. In life, these natives are peace-loving, sociable, and expressive. They value beautiful surroundings and courteous interactions. Their minds are wired to seek harmony, and they often bring resolution where there is conflict. However, if overly indulged, they may struggle with superficiality or avoidance of difficult conversations. From the conjunction's placement, it aspects the 7th house, impacting relationships, partnerships, and diplomacy. This adds romantic eloquence, making the person an excellent companion, mediator, or public figure. If afflicted, relationships may suffer due to over-idealization or miscommunication in romantic matters. In essence, the Mercury-Venus conjunction forms the voice of beauty. It gives birth to diplomats, poets, and those who refine the world through thoughtful words and gracious intellect. Their challenge is to ensure their sweetness isn't just surface deep, and their talent is best used when it brings peace through clarity. When Mercury and Mars join forces in a conjunction, the mind becomes sharp like a sword, and the speech turns into a weapon. Mars, the planet of action, aggression, courage, and initiative, energize Mercury's intellect, logic, and communication style. This is the conjunction of the strategic warrior, someone who can argue, plan, and execute with precision. The blend of Mercury's analytical skills and Mars' decisiveness produces a highly energetic mind, one that is direct, dynamic, and persuasive. These natives are quick thinkers, excellent debaters, and have a natural ability for troubleshooting and problem-solving. Their communication is forceful, sometimes sarcastic, often cutting, but undeniably impactful. The quality of this conjunction heavily depends on sign placement and the planetary strength. Mercury is strong in Gemini and Virgo. Mars is powerful in Aries, Scorpio, and exalted in Capricorn. In these signs, this pairing gives razor-sharp logic, tactical thinking, and fearless expression. However, if placed in water signs or afflicted, this conjunction may lead to aggressive speech, impatience in discussions, or verbal conflicts. In terms of functional status, this combination can be benefic when channeled constructively, such as in legal, engineering, strategic, or sports-related careers. But if Mars is afflicted or Mercury is combust, it may manifest as argumentative tendencies, harsh criticism, or mental restlessness. Malefic influences like Rahu or Saturn can exaggerate the aggression or cause misfires in judgment. In life, these individuals are often driven, sharp-witted, and boldly expressive. They have an assertive communication style and prefer to get straight to the point. This makes them excellent leaders in crisis, problem solvers, or technical experts. However, emotional sensitivity or patience may need to be consciously cultivated. This conjunction aspects the 7th house, influencing communication in partnerships. It may produce intense exchanges with partners, both passionate and confrontational. In business or marriage, these natives need to guard against impulsive decisions or sharp words that hurt relationships. In essence, the Mercury-Mars conjunction gives the courage to speak, the precision to argue, and the fire to think on one's feet. These are intellectual warriors, fast, fearless, and focused. Their task is to refine their force, not suppress it, to use their mind as a scalpel, not a sword. When Mercury and Jupiter come together in conjunction, knowledge meets wisdom, and intellect is elevated with philosophy. Mercury governs intelligence, logic, and communication. Jupiter, on the other hand, is the planet of expansion, higher learning, dharma, and divine counsel. Their union creates a personality that values both facts and truth, producing thinkers who speak with vision and teach with clarity. This conjunction brings a balanced and brilliant mind, sharp enough to analyze, and wise enough to understand the larger picture. These natives are articulate, highly educated, and naturally inclined toward teaching, writing, or guidance. The philosophical bent of Jupiter uplifts Mercury's practical intellect, creating a refined, dharmic, and ethical communicator. If placed in strong signs like Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, or Virgo, this conjunction bestows tremendous talent in law, education, scriptural knowledge, and publishing. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, Mercury in Virgo, and when dignity is maintained, these individuals become mentors, consultants, and respected voices in society. They are often multilingual, with interest in scriptures, literature, or even finance and law. In terms of functional status, this conjunction is generally benefic, especially when unafflicted and well-placed. But if Mercury is debilitated in Pisces or combust, or if Jupiter is retrograde or afflicted by malefics, there may be confusion between logic and belief, leading to intellectual arrogance or contradictory views. Such individuals may try to prove knowledge rather than share it, or struggle to bridge mundane logic with spiritual truths. In life, they become natural advisors, guides, and problem solvers. Their thinking is broad, inclusive, and solution-oriented. They are great with youth, learning environments, and spiritual contexts. However, they must be wary of over-explaining, preaching, or getting lost in theories without grounding in reality. This conjunction casts an aspect on the 7th house, influencing marriage, partnerships, and public roles. The individual seeks intellectual equality and moral compatibility in relationships. This aspect also makes them ideal counselors, especially in legal, educational, or ethical matters. In essence, the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction brings the voice of wisdom and the mind of a teacher. They are intellectual sages, analytical yet visionary, articulate yet humble. Their dharma is to share what uplifts and to teach what transforms. When Mercury and Saturn join in conjunction, the mind becomes structured, speech becomes deliberate, and thought patterns develop discipline and depth. Mercury, the planet of intellect, logic, and expression, merges with Saturn, the planet of structure, seriousness, patience, and long-term perspective. This union creates a strategic thinker, someone who speaks less, but speaks with weight and precision. This combination leads to a grounded, cautious, and pragmatic mental framework. These individuals think thoroughly before speaking, and often take time to process thoughts. Their communication style is slow but impactful, more focused on clarity, truth, and structure than flair or persuasion. The Mercury-Saturn native has the potential to be a meticulous planner, researcher, writer, or strategist. If placed in strong signs like Capricorn, Aquarius, or Virgo, this conjunction brings stability, depth of thought, and intellectual endurance. Mercury thrives in Virgo, and Saturn finds strength in Capricorn and Aquarius. These placements make excellent administrators, technical thinkers, and serious students of knowledge. In such dignified positions, the individual builds a career through intellect, commitment, and perseverance. Functionally, this conjunction is neutral to benefic, but leans malefic when either planet is afflicted. If Mercury is combust, or if Saturn is retrograde or under the influence of Mars, Rahu, or Ketu, the native may struggle with pessimism, communication delays, fear of expression, or rigid thinking. Overanalysis, speech blockages, or chronic overthinking may occur. In life, these individuals often appear serious, reserved, or even introverted, especially in early years. They learn best through repetition and responsibility. Their strength lies in producing work of long-term value, particularly in careers involving law, accounting, writing, research, or any field that rewards detail and discipline. This conjunction casts its influence on the 7th house, impacting partnerships and public relations. It brings a practical, duty-bound approach to relationships. While romantic warmth may be limited, loyalty and reliability are high. In business, they work well with structured partners. In marriage, they seek stability over romance. In essence, the Mercury-Saturn conjunction is the architect of the mind. It gives the ability to build knowledge brick by brick, and speak only when the structure of thought is solid. These are the disciplined intellects, reserved, reliable, and resolute. Their words may be few, but their meaning lasts long. When Mercury, the planet of intellect, speech, and analytical thinking, conjuncts Rahu, the shadowy planet of illusion, obsession, and unorthodox desires, it creates an electric mind with unconventional intelligence. This is a conjunction of the clever manipulator or the technological genius, where the mind becomes hungry for knowledge, but the path to truth can be winding and non-linear. Rahu amplifies whatever it touches, and when fused with Mercury, it gives sharp mental instincts, a restless curiosity, and powerful communication abilities, often with a touch of trickery, mimicry, or strategic calculation. These natives have the capacity to master complex systems, learn foreign languages, or thrive in media, marketing, politics, or digital innovation. The mind functions like a hacker, breaking patterns, rewriting codes, challenging norms. This combination is especially potent in Gemini, Virgo, or Aquarius, where Mercury is either strong or Rahu is aligned with future-oriented signs. However, in water signs or under affliction, the native may suffer from mental anxiety, scattered thinking, or an over-reliance on manipulation, lies, or information distortion. Functionally, this conjunction is neutral to malefic. Mercury is naturally neutral and adaptable, but Rahu tends to corrupt or overstimulate. If Mercury is combust or weak, and Rahu dominates, there may be mental confusion, doublespeak, or addiction to cleverness without integrity. However, with Jupiter's aspect or support, the native can become a futuristic thinker, tech leader, or even a master negotiator. In life, these individuals can be extremely persuasive, skilled at reading between the lines, convincing others, and playing the information game. But they must be mindful of ethical grounding. Their gift of the gab can build empires, or cause reputational collapse depending on the karmic path they follow. This conjunction influences the 7th house, bringing complex dynamics in partnerships. There may be secretive deals, manipulation in communication, or unusual relationships. In business, they shine in branding or sales. In marriage, clarity and honesty become non-negotiable. In summary, the Mercury-Rahu conjunction is the fusion of a quicksilver mind with futuristic, and at times, illusory, vision. These are the intellectual tacticians of the new age, sharp, experimental, and boundary-breaking. If wisdom anchors them, they can lead revolutions in thought. If ego drives them, illusions can undo their genius. The conjunction of Mercury, the planet of intellect, logic, speech, and analysis, with Ketu, the headless shadow planet representing detachment, moksha, past life mastery, and introversion, produces a mind that is introspective, abstract, and innately spiritual. This is a meeting of logic and liberation, where the analytical mind becomes turned inward, often detached from worldly communication or common learning paths. Ketu disconnects or isolates whatever it joins. When it merges with Mercury, it can mute speech, suppress expression, or create a deeply internalized intellect. These individuals tend to be deep thinkers, minimal speakers, and intuitive learners. They often possess past life mastery over language, scriptures, or secret sciences. But in this life, they may shy away from typical communication or struggle with expression in early years. This conjunction shines in signs like Scorpio, Pisces, or Virgo, where Mercury's analytical ability aligns with Ketu's mystical detachment. In such placements, one sees natural astrologers, seekers, healers, or cryptographers. However, in signs like Gemini or Sagittarius, confusion may arise due to the contradiction between Mercury's logic and Ketu's abstract spirituality. Functionally, this conjunction is often malefic or neutral, depending on dignity. If Mercury is combust, debilitated, or afflicted, it may cause speech disorders, communication blocks, mental withdrawal, or misunderstood expression. Yet, with Jupiter's support, it can turn the mind towards sacred knowledge, mantra, and mystical arts. Ketu tends to withdraw the desire to debate and replaces it with the urge to know through silence. In practical life, these natives may come across as quiet, introverted, or even eccentric. Their ideas are often original, but their delivery may lack clarity. They are suited for research, spiritual sciences, back-end systems, and advisory roles where verbal engagement is minimal. They can access deep wisdom, but prefer not to flaunt it. The aspect on the 7th house brings complexity in relationships, especially communication with partners. There may be silence, detachment, or karmic blocks in partnerships. In business, they do well in background roles but may struggle in public relations unless supported by strong benefics. To conclude, the Mercury-Ketu conjunction creates a mind that seeks liberation through knowledge, but not through noise. These are the silent scholars, inwardly brilliant, outwardly reserved. If guided wisely, their thoughts can heal, enlighten, and awaken.